Shalom once again. This is part two in my response to Torah revival concerning women remaining silent in the churches. If you haven't seen part one, go back and view that so you can understand what's going on here in part two. We're going to pick back up in Judges chapter 4, but before I do that, let's show according to the law where the people were supposed to actually bring their difficult cases and where the judge of Israel is supposed to make their judgment according to the law. There's a location that's prescribed in the law, and it was the tent of meeting at that time. In the days of the temple, it would have been the temple. That's the place that the Most High chose to place his name. Deuteronomy 17 verse 8, it reads, "If there arise a matter too hard for thee in judgment, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, and between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy within thy gates." Within the gates, that was a place for judgment. At the city gates, there's many scriptures that speak on this. "Then shalt thou arise and get thee up into the place which Yahweh thy mighty one shall choose. And thou shalt come unto the priest, the Levites, and unto the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show thee the sentence of judgment." Now, the place that the Most High placed his name would have been the tent of meeting back in those days. But Deborah, she wasn't judging from there. It shows that she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ephraim. The reason why is because they were being oppressed by the king of Canaan. So they couldn't, their government was no longer established according to the laws of the Most High. And so this called for desperate measures. And they also had to be sneaky and creative about this. When they put together this war plan, you even had a woman, let's see, that was Yael, up in Judges chapter 4 verse 18. It says, "And Yael went out to meet Sisera, and said unto him, Turn in, my lord, turn in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, she covered him with the mantle. And he said unto her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk and gave him drink and covered him." Now, in verse 21, it reads, "Then Yael, Heber's wife, took a nail of the tent, and took a hammer in her hand, and went softly unto him, and smote the nail into his temples, and fastened it into the ground, for he was fast asleep and weary, so he died." Now, did we send our women out as warriors to fight? But no, these were certain situations that came up where women did step up and do these things. But it's not normal for a woman to go out to battle and to do things like this. You have the same similar case in the book of Judith in the Apocrypha, where Judith chopped off the head of the captain of the Assyrian army. So you can see that the Most High does raise up women to do certain things. Now let's go on to Judges chapter 5, and let's cover this song that's sang by Barak and Deborah, because it explains to you clearly the situation of those days. It reads, let's see, let's go to verse 6. It says, "In the days of Shagmar, the son of Anath, in the days of Yael, the highways were unoccupied, and the travelers walked through the byways." Now, what does that mean? Is that just a nice little piece of poetry right there? Well, you got to get into the definitions, and you can get an idea of what was going on. See, the highways. Now, that word translated highways. according to Brown, Drive, and Briggs, it says a way, path, road, the pathway, passing of life, figuratively, way of living. Okay? We're unoccupied. Now there, that means to stop, to cease, desist, forego, cease to be. So the way of living, like I mentioned earlier, is cease to be. And it says, and the travelers walk through through byways. Now the byways, one of the words in that definition mean winding, devious, crooked. So they were walking through a crooked way. Then it says in verse 7, the inhabitants of the villages ceased. They ceased in Israel. Well, that word villages. Let's look at the Strong's definition. The magistracy. Magistracy. That is leadership. Also concretely chieftains. So it says the villages ceased. They ceased in Israel until that I, Deborah, arose, that I arose a mother in Israel. Well, that way ceased because they were under oppression right now. They weren't under their own government. And so the Most High did raise up Deborah through the leadership of her husband. That's why it's mentioned there in chapter 4. That's why he's mentioned. Because, a woman couldn't even make a vow without the permission of her husband. Or if she wasn't married, she needed the permission of her father. You know, he could nullify that vow. You can read about that in the law in Numbers chapter 30. But here in Judges 5:8 says they chose this word is translated gods, but it's word 430. It means mighty ones. It also means magistrates. It can mean judges. And it says, so they chose new gods, then was war in the gates. Could it be that they chose new magistrates? And then there was war in the gates, where judgment was to take place. Was there a shield? Now that word shield means figuratively a protector. Was there a shield or spear seen among 40,000 in Israel? And it says, my heart is toward the governors of Israel, that offer themselves willingly among the people. Bless ye Yahweh. Speak ye that ride on white asses, ye that sit in judgment and walk by the way. They that are delivered from the noise of the archers in the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of Yahweh, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of the villages, or the leadership. That's the same word. Of the leadership in Israel, then shall the people of Yahweh go down to the gates. So basically, and you should read the whole chapter, go through the definitions, and break it down on your own. And you can see that after the deliverance, when the Most High rose up Deborah and Barak, they were delivered, then things went back to the way that they used to be. Then there was righteous judgment in the gates, and the people who were supposed to be sitting in office as judges were sitting in office at the place where the Most High placed his name. I'm going to continue on in another video. In the next video, I'm going to cover the arguments concerning Huldah, the prophetess, and show how she was not a teacher of men, and that she was not teaching, and she was not in the church teaching. So that'll be coming up next in part 3. Shalom.